Hey everyone, welcome back to the Unfiltered Fix. I'm Megan Sharpe, and today we're diving into a topic that's huge for me and that's so much deeper than it might seem on the surface: confidence, and how our appearance plays a role in shaping it. I know that confidence isn't just about how we look, but let's be real. When we feel good about how we present ourselves, it literally impacts everything: how we interact with others, how we perform at work, and even how we approach our relationships. I know that confidence isn't just about how we look. When I first got into the aesthetics world and people would ask me what I would do for a living, they would kind of smirk. And look, I get it. I realize that from the outside, this industry can seem very superficial. A lot of it really is smoke and mirrors. And yes, while there are plenty of people out there striving for perfection, and in my opinion, really caring way too much about what other people think, but that's a big part of why I started this podcast. I truly want to strip away all of the filters and really just be real. If you're somebody that watches my videos, you may occasionally see my face flaking, a little like today, and it'll be from cosmetic services that I do to help me look and feel my best. But I want you to see all of that. I'm an open book, and I wish more people were. It would really help normalize topics that sometimes seem a little taboo. When the co-owners of Zen Regen first approached me with their vision and asked me to come start it with them, and this was obviously before Zen was even a thing, it resonated with me so deeply that I really couldn't say no. So I left my other job and set out on a new adventure. You see, what they told me was that their goal wasn't just to make people look better. It was to redefine how people view the cosmetic industry entirely. They wanted to educate, empower, and inspire others to really achieve beauty and wellness by focusing on the whole person. Because it's not just about what's on the outside, but it's also what's happening on the inside. For me, it's always been about helping others step into the best version of themselves. Watching someone transform not into who others want them to be, but into who they truly love is one of the most rewarding parts of my job. And that's why I believe that if something bothers you enough to shake your confidence, you have the power to change it. My reality is the same as yours. We're in control of who we want to be and how we get there. So let's talk about the science behind this for a second. Confidence and appearance are deeply connected, despite what you might think. There's this study from Frontiers in Psychology that I read recently, and it found that when people feel good about how they look, it reinforces their self-concept. So listen to that again for just a second. The study showed that when people feel good about how they look, it reinforces their self-concept. Now, this is their internal picture of who they are. This isn't vanity. It's alignment. When your appearance reflects your identity, it becomes so much easier to step into situations with confidence and assertiveness. Think about it. Imagine you're about to give a big presentation and you're wearing an outfit that just doesn't fit right. Your hair doesn't look good and you're just really struggling to get in the mood. Before you even step into the room, self-doubt creeps in. Studies show that this kind of disconnect can trigger insecurities that hold you back from performing at your best. It's not just in your head, it's your whole energy, and that impacts how people perceive you moving forward. Now, flip the script for a second. You're wearing something that feels entirely you, and your hair looks amazing, your skin is glowing, and you catch a glance of your reflection in the mirror, and as you're walking by, your reflection basically says to you, "You've got this." So when you go on stage or you get in front of that audience, that mental boost allows you to get in front of them and absolutely crush it. Let's take this idea into the workplace because confidence is critical for career growth. And there's actually research to back this up. There was a business school that actually did a study that found that confidence, when rooted in self-belief, not arrogance, directly correlates to career success. The distinction here is key because self-belief means you trust in your abilities and you show up authentically. While arrogance, on the other hand, feels performative and totally disconnected. Most people are going to read that energy. And I don't know about you, but I can certainly tell the difference between somebody that's just confident and somebody that is arrogant. Now, here's where appearance ties in. When you feel good about how you present yourself, that confidence radiates. It actually influences hiring decisions, promotions, and even leadership opportunities. And as somebody who does the hiring for our companies, I can tell you firsthand that I'm not just looking at qualifications. I'm paying attention to how candidates carry themselves, how they interact, and whether they're embracing their uniqueness. Because let's face it, we're all different. And if I have two candidates that share similar qualifications, the one whose vibe resonates most will clearly stand out and will naturally become the front runner. Because I hire based on personality and how that individual will contribute to the culture of our company. I'm not sitting here saying that everybody's personalities are going to be perfect and everybody's going to get along seamlessly, but I hire based on personality and how that individual is going to contribute to the culture of our clinic. It's not about expensive clothes or looking conventionally attractive because everybody has their own idea of what that means to them, but it's truly about intentionality. Are you showing up in a way that aligns with the role that you want? Even small changes, a great haircut, a polished outfit, or wearing colors that just simply flatter your skin tone can make a huge difference in how you feel and how others perceive you. I tell my team at work that they should be camera ready every single time they step foot in the door. If our social media person were to come in and want to shoot content with them that day, they need to be ready to go. Now, this doesn't mean that I expect them to have a full face of makeup on if that's not who they are. But if they wouldn't be comfortable shooting content without the makeup or in the state that they were in that day, that doesn't match who they believe is the best version of themselves. And when we go to work, we need to be the best version of ourselves. I live by those same rules. See, I work mostly from home, so I have the luxury of spending my day in my pajamas without doing my hair or makeup if that's what I want to do. But if I'm asked to jump on a Zoom call at the last minute and I wouldn't feel comfortable being on camera in that state, that means that I am not at my best. And if I believe in my mind that I'm not at my best, you better believe that's going to affect my productivity and my energy for that entire day. And if you don't believe me, you can try it yourself. Pay close attention each time you do it and really notice the distinctions between the days. When you're more put together, are you more energized throughout the day? Are you more thoughtful? Are you more productive? Do you interact with your coworkers and your customers differently? Do you stand a little taller? Because I'm willing to bet that you're probably gonna say yes to all of those questions when you really take time and focus on yourself and how that aligns with who you want to be. This may be no surprise to you, but confidence doesn't just impact your career. It's a game changer in your personal life too. And in my opinion, it's a must-have. Not only do I like to observe situations for myself, but I really like to study the psychology behind topics like this. Like what makes people behave the way they do? What shifts somebody's mindset? There's a study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology that I actually read, and it found that people who feel confident in their appearance are more likely to engage in meaningful social interactions because they're present. They're approachable. They're there to truly engage because they're not stuck in their heads worrying about insecurities, how they look or how they feel because they already feel like their best self. So here's a fun example that puts this into like real life situations. I read another study where participants were observed in social settings before and after receiving neurotoxins. So if you listen to my previous podcast, this is where I talk about Botox, Dysport, Xeomin, Jeuveau, also known as tox in our world. The study focused on reducing frown lines. After the treatment, these individuals were perceived as more approachable and had more positive interactions. Now, to me, that's kind of wild, but it makes perfect sense. Appearance and facial expressions play a role in how others respond to you. My best friend and I were just kind of joking about this the other day. Her husband was saying that RBF, and for those of you that don't know what that is, it's resting face. It comes down to who you are within. And while attitude does certainly play a vital role, I have to say that a smoother appearance goes a long way. Needless to say, I booked her tox appointment at Zen immediately. But all kidding aside, think about how you perceive others. Are you more likely to start a conversation with somebody who's smiling and seems like a confident person? Or do you feel like the person who's standing off to the side scowling is going to be more approachable? They may not actually be scowling at all, but that frown gives them the appearance, and people find it less desirable to approach them. And when people feel like they're unapproachable or undesirable, it hurts their confidence. And again, because this is a real podcast and unfiltered, I actually want to share a personal story with you to illustrate how my former insecurities and lack of confidence affected one of my most valued relationships to this day. And I want you to think about whether this is something that might be affecting your connection or lack thereof. My best friend and my husband actually dated before he and I got together. And she and I hated each other. And when I say hated, I mean we hated each other. I didn't like hearing even the sound of her name. It made me cringe. And I couldn't ever figure out exactly why that was. But I believe it was out of pure insecurity. Neither one of us were willing to get to know each other. And we built up this whole narrative in our heads that wasn't even real. It wasn't until we both became moms that we finally connected and realized how absolutely ridiculous we had been so many years before. I reached out to her in a moment where I thought she could really use a friend, and it turned out to be one of the best decisions I had ever made. And it's funny because years later, we looked back at that Facebook message that I had sent her, and I literally started the conversation with, "This is probably going to be weird, and I'm probably the last person you want to hear from." But early into our friendship, we analyzed what we thought the cause of that disconnect was, and what we both decided was that it really boiled down to insecurities. We were young. We didn't know any better. But now she's my best friend, and I truly can't even imagine my life without her. And if we had let those insecurities linger, we would have missed out on so much. And we're talking 13 plus years of an amazing friendship and countless memories that we've made. So do you see how confidence matters? It doesn't just impact how you see yourself. It shapes how you show up in relationships and how you let others in. There's a quote by Tom Ford that says, "The most important things in life are the connections you make with others." You see, we're not meant to do life alone. And I think the quality of our relationships truly reflect who we are. And in a lot of ways, shape who we become. Now, let's get personal for a minute. If you're feeling insecure about your appearance, maybe that's your weight, your wardrobe, or anything else, it can absolutely affect intimacy. Have you ever talked to somebody and they say, "Well, I used to take care of myself, but now I'm in a relationship and I don't have to try anymore"? That is something that I've heard a lot. My first thought is always, wow, how sad is that? Not just for the person who said it, but for the person that's in a relationship with them. I mean, that's not fair to either party. If we don't respect and value ourselves enough to want to take care of ourselves, it's really, really hard to expect or even think that others will value and respect us long term. I realize that for me, I'm lucky and I'm blessed with an incredible husband. And I know that he still loves me even on my worst days. And trust me, he's definitely seen that multiple times throughout our very long relationship. But I believe that I'm worthy of showing up as my best self every day for me. that means that in turn, he gets the best version of me also. And you better believe that adds to the physical attraction, which strengthens our intimate connection, which in turn builds an even stronger relationship overall, right? It's a really big deal if you stop and think about it. And let's be real. Again, when you feel good about yourself, it changes how you interact with your partner. You're more confident, you're more present, and you're more willing to connect. When you're confident, you can receive constructive feedback and not take it personally. And you should hopefully take that feedback and use it to level up, to be better, to make improvements in your life. But on the flip side, if you're feeling insecure, it's really, really hard to hear those truths. You might shy away from intimacy or even misinterpret innocent actions, like thinking your partner's checking out someone else when really they're not. And it's just your own self-doubt. I'm sure most of us have been there at one time or another. But have you ever stopped to think about the long-term effects that this has on your relationship? So I want to ask you a question, and I want you to really think about it. If someone were to tell you that your favorite celebrity was going to come visit you today, would you put your best self forward? I know I would. But should that celebrity, someone whom you've never met before and most likely will never see again, should their opinion matter more to you than the person who you're in a committed relationship with? I would hope not. And if your answer is yes, then maybe you need to do a little reflecting. So I have another question for you to think about. Have you ever walked into a room and been so drawn to somebody, to their energy, or you just can't figure out what it is, but your eyes instantly gravitate toward them? What is it about that person that caught your attention? For me, it's always their self-assurance. It's how they carry themselves. I like to watch how they interact with other people. And to me, I find that alluring. So when you're in a situation and you're in a group of people, think about that. What are you drawn to? And I know sometimes it's really hard to think about this and how this might apply to your life. So I want to share a few practical steps that might or might not be helpful in aligning your appearance with your confidence goals. When it comes to aligning your appearance on a personal level, start small. Maybe it's a new haircut. Maybe it's a simple skincare routine, or just putting effort into an outfit that makes you feel great. For my non-makeup friends, maybe try a tinted sunscreen like Color Science. My favorite is the Sunforgettable Flex. It's my favorite because it not only protects my skin, but it boosts your look without the hassle. These little changes can add up. It doesn't have to be a big production or a big to-do. And what advice do I have for you to level up on a professional level? Well, again, as somebody that does the hiring for our companies, I want my candidates to show up intentionally. Not just my candidates, but all of our employees. That might mean well-fitted clothes, just grooming yourself, good posture. It can make a big difference in how you're perceived and how you feel. Believe that you deserve that position. Never walk through a door and feel like, I don't know if I'm good enough. Because if you feel that way, you probably don't belong at that place. And on a social level, find small wins that boost your mood. A bright smile goes a long way. I don't know about you, but have you ever answered the phone and you can tell when somebody is smiling and when they're down? I can. It shows, like you can hear it in their affect, the way they are presenting themselves on the phone. And if you're more introverted, that's okay. Start by setting manageable goals for social interactions. So for example, aim to initiate one new conversation at an event. Maybe instead of letting others approach you, you find somebody that you're drawn to and you can go up and start the conversation with them instead. It could be helpful to prepare a few lighthearted topics to discuss in advance. Something as simple as what's their favorite show or what are their weekend plans. It can help break the ice without making you feel overwhelmed or creating any type of anxiety. You can also try complimenting a couple of people throughout the week. This always makes me happy. I love to compliment people because it brightens their day and you have no idea what they've been through that morning, that afternoon, in life. Just having somebody say, I love your sweater, or you look beautiful today, or whatever the case may be, you could really brighten their day. And when you see the smile on their face, it typically brightens your mood also. These small wins can help you build confidence without feeling overwhelming. And if you're lucky to start a conversation with a chatterbox like me, they'll most likely lead the majority of the conversation moving forward. I love to talk to people, and I laugh oftentimes because I could probably sit there and talk to a tree. Not because I enjoy listening to myself talk, but I just enjoy sharing interactions with individuals. My husband laughs and sometimes likes to remind me that just because we're in an elevator with people doesn't mean that I have to start a conversation with them. And my thought is always like, well, why not? What better time, right? The more you do this, the easier it becomes. And now on to one of my favorite areas of this conversation, intimate connection. I feel like this is just so important and too important not to talk about. If you're in a committed relationship and you want to build a stronger connection, I want to encourage you to approach self-care as something you're doing for you, not just for your partner. Build self-love that pours out to your relationship. Confidence and intimacy is not just physical, it's emotional. Practice communicating openly with your partner about your needs, your desires, and your insecurities. Because when we feel heard and understood, it deepens the connection and builds trust, which leads to more confidence in our relationship. And I also want you to think about how unfair it would be to expect your partner to know how these things affect you, right? Maybe they're doing something that's contributing to lack of confidence, but you haven't shared that with them. How will they ever fix what they don't know? You can't expect them to help you and communicate clearly with you if you can't do the same with them. And somebody has to start it. And look, I get it. This can seem very scary. And I wasn't always good at this myself. It actually took a lot of practice. My husband and I have been together for a long time, and we're still not perfect at this. A good place to start might be to share one thing that you love about your partner and one thing that they could do to make you feel more appreciated or confident in your relationship. So like, why? Like, what does this even do? Well, it opens the door for deeper conversations. If this isn't something that you can do face to face, start with a text message, because everybody likes to get a text throughout the day saying, hey, I'm thinking about you. Maybe you're fine with having that conversation face to face, but maybe you're afraid that your partner isn't going to receive that conversation well. You know, that's fair. That happens. But the text will allow them to know that you're thinking about them and give them a chance to really put some thought into their response without feeling put on the spot. You have to give them an opportunity to grow with you so you guys can level up together. I know I've taken quite a bit of time on this topic, and if you've listened to the entire episode, I really hope you understand how important this is for our everyday lives. Our confidence pours out in so many ways. And what I hope you take away from this is that confidence is not about perfection. Let's face it, none of us are perfect. It's about showing up as the best version of yourself, aligned with your goals and values. Because when you feel good about how you present yourself, it changes everything. Your posture, your energy, and how others respond to you. So here's your homework. I want you to think of one small change that you can make today to feel more aligned with the person you want to be. Maybe it's a new routine. Maybe it's a fresh perspective, or even scheduling a long overdue appointment. Whatever it is, I want you to remember this. You're worth it, and you have the power to make it happen. Nobody else is going to do it for you. Believe in yourself. As always, share your wins with me through comments. I love to hear how you're stepping into your confidence. And if you don't know where to start, that's okay. I want to hear that too. Maybe I can give you that push that you need. Don't be afraid to message me. And remember, you can follow me and share this information. Maybe it's been helpful for you. Maybe it will be helpful for somebody else, and maybe they need to hear this. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow the Unfiltered Fix on Apple Podcast and Shopify. Until next time, here's to showing up as your best self. If this has been helpful for you, or you feel like maybe there's somebody in your life that needs to hear this, share it with them. I would love to hear your feedback. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow the Unfiltered Fix on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Until next time, here's to showing up as the most confident you.